sometimes I'm like, if I can take that one thing that like really impacted me and I can put it out in the public space to share with other people, I can only think that like if it impacted me, it has to impact at least one other person. And like, I always think about like the ripple effect of change that can happen through art, especially public art.
I'm Conrad Benner, and I'm hosting a new podcast from WHYY about the art in our public spaces and the people who create it. It's called Art Outside. As a kid, Philly's museums and galleries felt worlds away. But the stickers, Wheatpaste, and murals around me got me curious. And that curiosity led to a career where I document, celebrate, and investigate these place-defining art forms. In the show, I talk with artists like Symone Salib to better understand why their work is so vital to their lives and to ours.
Symone is one of the most well-known street artists in the city right now. Her work is easily recognizable. How do you describe your style?
Oh my gosh. So I would say a lot of it is portrait driven. It's like really bold like lines. And it's usually very colorful. I feel like it's like very concise and to the point. At first, street art was like something that was just really accessible as like a medium, in the sense that like I was using like recycled paper or paper I bought at like literally the Dollar Tree for $1, like a roll of butcher paper. And I was like using like really cheap paint from like Michael's that was like, again, like $1 or $2. And then Wheatpaste was also super cheap. First, we're gonna use this container and we're gonna pour our water in this container. I use it almost as like a measuring cup, imagine. I wanna pour about 3/4 of the water that's in this container into the pan. Ooh. All right, that's good, I think. Measure to your heart's desire, whatever. Next, so we put the flour into the water and we're gonna shake it up. This is the fun part, I would say. All right, now that it's all mixed up, I'm gonna put it into the water that's been slowly heating up on the stove already. And from now on, I would say you wanna stir. You wanna stir continuously, because if you stop stirring, then it will get stuck to the bottom of the pan. I would say all in all, this whole process of making Wheatpaste takes maybe about like 10 minutes. At this point, this is when I like to add a little bit of sugar. So now that this is done, I'm gonna let it go for maybe like 5 seconds longer. It's done. Okay, so after your Wheatpaste has set in the fridge overnight or for at least a few hours, it will thicken up. It'll look like this. Not too bad.
You're self-taught, right?
Yes. Well, like self-taught, community taught. I did not go to art school. I think there's lots of things you can learn in art school. I love to learn. Literally, it's like the best thing in the world. But at the same time, like, I just like honestly didn't know that like being an artist is like a path that I could actually like do. I did like not know that this was gonna be my life by like any means. For when I first started painting, I think I like naturally was just like painting people who were famous because it was like easy to find a reference photo online or something. And then I really had a big moment where I was like, why am I like painting these people who I'm like probably never gonna meet? And like, yeah, they influence my life, but like, am I gonna influence theirs, you know? Or like, why am I putting someone on such a big pedestal, right? And I feel like I really had a moment like where I had a shift where I was like, why are we not putting people in our lives that are like doing really good work or who matter to us on the same kinds of pedestals? So I would love to stay doing community-based work that is like people in the space that I live or maybe people that I'm working with, you know? Okay, so what I'm working on is a street art piece that is a portrait of a person named Amanda who I met at a Palestinian writing conference I went to, and then accompanied are some words that that I had like thought of like earlier in the week that says, I cannot say enough that at base level, all people deserve to live. I don't want to just make art that I'm gonna like put up maybe in one show and then have it collect dust in my house. I would rather like make something that people can engage with, even if it will not last forever outside. That to me feels more important. And like, so street art is actually so like, I think it like unlocks something inside of me that is like a little freeing, because like you make it and like it has its life and you put it up outside, but like something about the fact that it is ephemeral and like you have a moment with it and maybe someone else will never have a moment with it feels like really special and very sweet. Yeah, I think to be able to make something and like let it exist in its like lifespan of whatever that is, something about that feels like very poetic and like kind of powerful, you know?
Nice to meet you too.
I hope you have a good day, babe.
You too.
Catch more conversations with artists like Symone in our new series, Art Outside, wherever you get your podcasts.